name is Maileah McMullen. I have been working in the marketing, advertising, kind of sales industry since I graduated from Denison back in 2020. I actually started on the brand or agency side of things, so I actually started with project management, running event marketing, community marketing here in Columbus with a Black-owned advertising and marketing agency. And then I actually went to a boutique marcoms agency that's very well known here in Columbus that is ran by Heather Whaling, and she's an amazing, amazing founder and CEO. And I built my presence there, really starting with social media marketing. But because of my background in anthropology, sociology, and communication at Denison, I was really robust in just developing strategies overall, which really lended itself to influencer marketing and influencer marketing strategies. So there I worked with some of the amazing companies that are based here in Columbus, like Atlas Butler, Groundwork Ohio, Lipedema Foundation, building influencer campaigns everywhere from B2B all the way to nonprofit, which is really unheard of with influencer marketing. Fell in love with it, but wanted to make more of an impact, so I switched to the talent side of things, and I became a talent manager. Yes, I negotiate deals on behalf of influencers because this industry touches entertainment, PR, it touches media buying, it touches marketing, advertising, sales, all the things. So you need to be a great negotiator. So I know how to negotiate a rate up and negotiate a rate down on both sides. But with that being said, it is a newer industry. I'm constantly hearing small businesses or even professionals or CEOs being like, I don't understand it. I don't understand the value. Where is the value in this? How do you measure value? Does this really scale and grow my business? And the answer is absolutely. And if you aren't including influencer marketing in your strategy, you're falling flat and you're falling short. A lot of people think influencer marketing is using strictly like people like Nara Smith, you know, the girl with the soft, gentle voice and makes homemade gum for her children. Or people like Kim Kardashian. She's actually not a celebrity, she's an influencer, and I'll tell you why. But they are growing and they are scaling your business. And so today I'm going to go a little bit into how does it grow and scale your business, the value of engaging influencer marketing. And then we're also going to go through a report from a very well-known agency that does influencer marketing worldwide, IZEA. They're an amazing partner to my talent agency. And then I'll open it up to questions. If you don't get your question answered or you have other questions, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and we can grab coffee and chat. So the creator economy is growing more and more lucrative. In an article from Forbes, the influencer industry is worth approximately $250 billion right now. And what I can say is that is absolutely true with the contracts that I see coming in and out of my inbox. There is so much money to be made in this industry, and the creator economy is going to continue to grow. A figure that Goldman Sachs predicts is it's going to grow to about a $500 billion industry by 2027. So that means that essentially there's more and more money being put into this industry, more and more money being put into creators, more and more money being put into these marketing strategies because they're incredibly effective for building trust, building authenticity, but also growing the brand. So kind of getting into the value of those numbers. So influencers inspires consumers to look up, research, and shop brands. In a modern day, most people are not going to Google to find the latest brand that's coming out or to learn more about a product that just launched to market or learn more about a business that just launched. They're going to Instagram, they're going to TikTok, they're going to YouTube, they're going to even Twitch and live streams. Why? Because they want to know something from someone else. They don't really trust marketing from a website anymore. Because a lot of brands are putting out messaging that's really not connecting to them as a human, and what builds the best trust and best relationships and best connections is human-to-human interaction, and that's what they're getting on those platforms. So according to IZEA, people are seeing brands on social media in a different light than traditional media because it's more authentic. Your messaging on a website, it only conveys what you want it to convey. It's not really reaching an authentic place. It's not really being told by a human. It's being told by characters and letters on a screen, right? And everyone wants an authentic connection. Parasocial relationships are our #1 relationships nowadays. On the consumer's path to purchase, people are searching for brands that match their needs and their lifestyle. So the other thing too is how is your messaging or how is your brand matching the lifestyle and the needs of the person you're trying to target? They don't know, and they can only find that out through other people and influencers. And then social is playing a crucial role when it comes to product research. Really because, again, it goes back to how are we getting our information? A lot of times if we can put it in a TikTok search bar, that's how we're getting our information. Or if we're putting it into an Instagram search bar, that's how we're getting our information, and that's how we're being persuaded on our buying and purchasing behaviors. And then social shopping is surging unlike ever before. This really plays itself also into affiliate marketing. So Like to Know It is an affiliate platform that a lot of social creators are using in order to sway and convince people in their purchasing behaviors. Other platforms that are similar to LTK are Shop My or Collective Voice. And again, it's rewarding them for being a social persuader of people purchasing the product. And social platforms are increasing and nudging audiences deeper into the sales funnel to the moment of truth. So when we think of the sales funnel, the first piece of that sales funnel, before you can ever get to conversion, before you can ever get to that sale, you have to build brand awareness first. And influencer marketing is incredibly impactful for those who are trying to build brand awareness, right? But a lot of people are like, I'm just focused on the sales. Like, I just want the conversion. I just want the sale. No, you have to start with brand awareness. Is there an impact in influencer marketing on conversion and on sales? Yes, but first you need to start with a brand awareness tactic, and that is where social paramounts and beats out so many other marketing strategies. So I'm gonna exit out of my presentation here for a second and pull up the report from Maileah, because there's such incredible nuggets that I wanna go through, because as someone who has a qualitative research background, I understand how much data tells and how data is important to making business decisions of where we're gonna invest in our strategies, what strategies are gonna return an ROI. So influencers inspire people to see, search, and shop for brands. So this is just expounding upon what I just basically said, is that in their report, they saw that people prefer influencer-created content over professionally created content at a growing rate. Meaning, if they can figure out that you're a CEO or you're the business owner, they're just like, well, yeah, of course, that's your job. Your job is to push your product. Your job is to push your service. But if someone else, if an influencer creates it, they're like, wait, so maybe this really does work. Maybe it's not a gimmick. The other thing is that 86% of people are searching for brands on social media before making a purchase. Again, that trust that's being built. And then 77% of people making a purchase through social media platforms. Again, with that TikTok shop, great example. Another great example is Instagram shop. TikTok shop beats out Instagram by far though. So just a little bit of the background on the survey so that you guys can keep this in mind with who they surveyed and everything like that. This goes over their sample population, and if anyone is interested in having this report, I can email it to you after. So this is going over content preferences through the years. So influencer content continues to gain appeal, with 77% of respondents finding it more compelling than traditional ads, the highest preference recorded to date. So for those who are just running ads on Meta or running ads on TikTok or running Google ads, if there's not some sort of influencer element, meaning an influencer hero, someone is telling the story of your product, it's not as effective as if you're engaging an influencer. And there is a paid media clause in a lot of these influencer contracts, usage rights, where you can agree or you can essentially pay this influencer to run their content after it's posted to their channel as an ad. And we're seeing that that kind of tactic is leading you deeper into the sales funnel and deeper into the conversion phase of it, because that first piece of them posting it to their channel was the brand awareness. And then when you run it as an ad, because that piece of content already has an understanding of who's been targeted, who interacted with it, if you have a great digital media expert, they can then take that information and already push it to where now when you go to run the ad, it's retargeting anyone who already interacted with it, moving them deeper in the sales funnel. And then this is just showing again, did you find content created by social media influencers to be more compelling than scripted advertising written by a marketing professional? So we're also finding too that influencer content is better than what you're seeing in traditional ads on television. And a lot of times, and you're about to see an insert of that influencer content on Hulu, on Netflix, on Amazon Prime. Why? Because they want to see the people that they follow on social in ads. They're no longer really paying for models and actors as much anymore. They're actually targeting and casting influencers for the ads that are going to be ran on your favorite streaming platforms. So 86% of respondents said they are very likely to somewhat likely to search on social platforms before making a purchase. I will tell you now, I do not make a purchase without looking on social anymore. And so if your average, the person you're targeting is between the ages of 25 to 34, you can even push it to 40. A lot of them are using social to inform their purchasing behaviors. And in this economy, no one's willing to really try a new product unless someone's talking about it.
Will you take questions now, or would you rather have them at the end?
You can ask them now.
Is there a differentiation based on placement that you're going to go and check what social says? Is it a $100 purchase? Is it a $10,000 purchase?
It's just a purchase in general. We're finding that everyone just wants to know about who's trying what. So I don't, in my experience, no one's really saying like, okay, I'm gonna go check social first to if it's the difference between $100 or $1,000. In this report, they don't get into that. It wasn't a part of the study. But what I would say is that Influencer Marketing Hub, I think they got into that in their report.
Do you know if it's goods or services? Like, if it's a plumber, am I going on social to look for a plumber, or is it more like it's goods I'm looking for? Sure.
It's services as well.
Services.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I was on a trip last week and we found restaurants through TikTok. Like we didn't even go on Google search to find good restaurants.
Like Atlas Butler's campaign, it was services as well. Like we actually found when we ran their influencer marketing campaign that people were calling in saying like, hey, we saw your social campaign, we saw this influencer talking about it, we didn't know that you guys actually work on furnaces. A lot of people didn't know. It's interesting, yes. Yeah?
To build that initial awareness, what would be your first step in creating some type of like ad campaign first or the organic route for socials? What would be the first step in increasing brand awareness?
So I'm gonna get into that.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Quick question. Does this apply to B2B as well, or it seems like this is more predominantly B2C?
No, I ran B2B influencer campaigns when I worked for the agency as well. You're going to be targeting and you're going to be using thought leaders and key opinion leaders, and your platform is mainly going to be LinkedIn. So this just starts to get into like the product research. So social media has become the primary source of product research for 18 to 60-year-olds, surpassing friends and family recommendations. And so this breaks it down by platform: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and then friends and family. So I'm going to go back to my presentation to kind of get into Nia's question. So how are we really building value through influencer marketing? There's a lot of different ways to engage influencer marketing, depending upon how much are you willing to risk. I will say that. So it starts with seeding or gifting. So I get a ton of emails from my influencers every single day that's like, hey, can we just send her the product? Can we just, come to her house and give her an IV drip? And a lot of the times that's known as seeding or gifting because there's no posting requirement. They're just wanting to get her experience. And obviously if an influencer ends up liking the product or end up enjoying the services, they're going to cover it on typically an Instagram stories because it's the least amount of production required. It's very in the moment. But I get a ton of emails like this saying, hey, can she just come to the restaurant? It's all comped. If she wants to share a story, that's great. We're going to comp her meal up to $500. I had a fabulous tomahawk steak in Chicago when I went to visit my influencer because of that. Trade partnerships. So trade partnerships are great for small businesses who are looking to grow without making a huge investment. So that might mean that you offer a discount to whoever you're providing a service for, saying, hey, I'm willing to offer you a 20% discount on the total package if you agree to make a LinkedIn post tagging me about your experience halfway through the project or at the end of the project. This is amazing, amazing, amazing for small businesses and startups because it's low risk and there's no expectations, and also you're not having to come out of pocket. It's literally just a discount on the overall package, and who doesn't want a discount? Paid partnerships. So this is when you're actually creating a budget. I have told everyone that I have worked with and created influencer marketing campaigns for, you cannot get anything with a $2,000 budget. You're going to be working really with nano creators, and in that case, if they're nano, you're not getting into usage rights. You can't ask for exclusivity, meaning for 30 days they can't promote another business. You are quite literally only paying for the content, and you cannot run it as an ad. So even if it's incredibly successful, you will not be able to pay to then have your digital media team retarget everyone who interacted with that ad. So I typically recommended when I was talking to businesses, starting with a budget of at least $5,000 and scaling from there based on the effectiveness. A lot of people are like, well, what can I get with $5,000? You can engage nano to micro creators. You're not gonna get a ton of creators with that budget, but what you will be able to get is be able to access the brand awareness and be able to then retarget their content with your digital media team to get deeper into the sales funnel. So I highly recommend starting with a budget of $5,000, and that's where you're in the nano to micro. Nano to micro, nano is 10,000 followers or less. Micro is between 10,000 followers and 60,000 followers on the social platform. And then you have ambassadorships. So this is typically what we call long-term partnerships. Like they are becoming the face. They're using their name, image, and likeness to promote your business. Typically it's a year-long contract or a 6-month contract, but really that ambassadorship is really them promoting only you in that space for a long period of time. These budgets are insane. Just gonna say that. So really breaking it down, again, small businesses, you're gonna be looking at trade partnerships or ambassadorships, and you're like, well, you just told me the budget was insane to an ambassadorship. Why would I wanna do that as a small business? Because you can be your own ambassador. I tell everyone, an influencer, everyone has influence. I have influence, but I only have 1,000 followers on Instagram. But I have influence because I'm here in this room, because I'm knowledgeable, because I'm an expert. Everyone has influence. So if you know yourself, hey, I just maybe need to clean up my LinkedIn, you can be a LinkedIn influencer. There are actually a ton of thought leaders, key opinion leaders, professionals, CEOs that are being engaged by different service-based platforms, AI-based platforms that are paying someone else to speak on behalf of their product or their service. So you can be an influencer for your own business. You just have to have the right marketing strategy, the right messaging, the right positioning. Service-based business. So you guys are gonna be looking into trade partnerships, paid partnerships, and ambassadorships. Again, ambassadorships, they do have a lot of money that becomes involved in them, but when you get a great thought leader, key opinion leader, someone who's an expert on the topic, it becomes incredibly valuable. And again, you're really gonna be looking at LinkedIn, and a lot of people are like, LinkedIn does influencer campaigns. Yes. In my field, there's a platform called Luminu, which is a platform that allows transparency in when a brand pays out an influencer, because there's a ton of issues around payment in this industry. And they are engaging talent managers like myself to speak on behalf of that service, to get other agencies and talent managers to know about it, and even other agencies that cast on behalf of brands to use their platform to create transparency in the pay process. And then you have product-based businesses. So trade is really great. I actually also see a lot of your major luxury designer, they're not paying for content because they know the ticket price to a Prada perfume. They know that their name carries weight. So yeah, you want an Instagram story for a Prada perfume? Yeah, no problem. Paid partnerships. Again, really common in product-based businesses, and then ambassadorships as well. An example of a ambassadorship, my influencer that I represent, Savannah, she's based out of Chicago. She just did an amazing paid campaign with TurboTax, and she's on an exclusivity for several months with TurboTax because of how well her content did. And she only has, I think, 13,000 followers on TikTok, but when they retargeted it and they started kicking in the digital media, that video now has 3 million impressions, even with the ban that just took place. Yeah?
So just in terms of tools for measuring direct ROI from social, like
Tools, so I would say this is where you can also engage platforms like Creator IQ. Creator IQ will measure that for you on a campaign. They'll pull in, you can set it up to where that influencer's content gets pulled into a feed, and then they'll take the average engagement rate of the campaign. They'll also provide you with an earned media value. Earned media value is an incredible metric to measure, especially when you're in the brand awareness phase, because brand awareness lends itself to more so like the PR. And so Creator IQ is another one. Tagger is a great one. Tagger is more expensive. IZEA, you can either pay for their team to run the campaign, or you can just pay for the platform. So a lot of the times that's how we're doing it. But if you are like, I don't want to invest in a platform to pull in these metrics, I would say find a professional that was really early on in the stage of influencer marketing, because they'll know how to do all this by hand. So when I was agency side, I got taught how to calculate an engagement rate by hand. I was taught how to calculate earned media value by hand. I was taught how to track all of this stuff by hand. Why? Because they were like, when the platform crashes and the client wants us to know, like, what was the engagement rate, what was the earned media value, did we get an ROI on it? You don't have any way of telling them because you don't know how to do this by hand. So I will say that's not a skill everyone knows how to do, but I do know professionals that can help with that. So scaling through influencer marketing. One of the biggest mistakes that I see on influencer campaigns, and this even comes in, it's very rare. I am a manager where I ask my partners, how did my influencers do on this campaign? Did we at least break even on the rate that I sent you and the performance? And a lot of the times, sometimes I'll get into conversation, they're like, hey, like, the campaign didn't do the way we thought, the way we wanted it to. What do you think went wrong? And I'm like, well, who did you cast? There's no diverse personas. Everyone was the same. And so it's really important to engage diverse personas when building trust and you want the campaign to perform, because why? If everyone looks the same, thinks the same, is in the same place, in the same city, you're gonna just be targeting the same exact people. So you wanna make sure there's diverse personas, niches, and platforms in every single campaign you do. Now, when it's B2B, the best platform is LinkedIn. So you really wanna leverage being diverse in your personas and your niches. But if you're service-based or product-based, you really want to make sure your campaign is incredibly diverse in all three ways, and I promise you're going to see a great return on investment. You want to develop a clear campaign strategy. So a lot of times when people are just starting with influencer marketing, they don't have a clear strategy. They're just kind of like, I want to try it. It's popular. People are saying that they're making great returns on it. Let's just try it. Don't do that. You want to make sure you have a clear campaign strategy. You want to bring accounting into the conversation. You want to bring legal into the conversation. You want to bring your digital media team into the conversation. You want to make sure that you're bringing everyone that you can to create a clear campaign strategy. Now, if you're a small business and you don't have a team like that, that's where it's really important to engage other experts. Grab coffee with them, ask them about digital marketing, ask them about digital media, ask them about media buying. So that way you can develop a clear campaign strategy of what you want this to look like. Is it one reel or is it two? Is it UGC or do you want them to post on their platform? These are all great questions to ask when developing a clear campaign strategy. Track clear key metrics. A lot of people don't know what metrics to track in an influencer marketing campaign, and so then they're falling short and they don't know why. Clear key metrics are things like engagement rate. Did you see an engagement rate spike on your own social media channel because people were being directed from the influencer's post to your business's page? Other things to track, earned media value. That's really great for a brand awareness campaign. If you're looking at a sales-based campaign, that means an influencer swaying someone to purchase a product, you want things like a Google UTM tracking link, or you want things like an affiliate code, or you want things like to engage things like a LTK, a Shop My, or Collective Voice. There needs to be a way to track it. The number one mistake I see on campaigns where they're wanting to track conversion is they're not building out their Google UTM links correctly. So when you go to pull your Google statistics on your website, you're not even seeing that the influencer is driving traffic to your website or driving sales. Why? Because you didn't set up the UTM link correctly. So make sure you're engaging with someone who's familiar with SEO, familiar with digital advertising, to make that UTM link very, very clear. So compliance with regulations. This is a FTC industry. So you want to make sure you're complying with FTC standards. That means if you're a restaurant, you cannot pay an influencer to leave a Google review on your restaurant. That's actually against the FTC guidelines. So many restaurants and even agencies that come into my inbox asking my influencer to leave a Google review, I kindly let them know, like, hey, she would love to leave a positive review of her experience, but you cannot pay her in exchange of that because it goes against the FTC guidelines. Why isn't it so important to be compliant with regulations? Because depending upon your contract, and this is why I say engage an attorney, engage a lawyer to create a contract for this industry. depending on your contract, they're not suing the influencer. They're going to sue you as the agency, the brand, the business. So make sure in all of your contracts that you are FTC compliant.
Question.
Yeah.
If you give somebody a discount for something for your service, hoping and asking that they, post and like you mentioned before, does that get close to the compliance with regulation?
So that is compliant because at that point it's considered a service trade. But with the restaurants, you can't pay them before a Google review because at that point it's not a trade service. So if, let's say they wanted to ask Savannah to review the restaurant, but they're not paying her to do so, they're just complimenting her, like comping her meal.
Right.
That's considered trade at that point. But if they're paying her to attend the restaurant, review the restaurant, meaning that cash goes into her bank account, that's no longer compliant with the FTC regulations.
Contract and say, I want you to post something, that's still okay if it's.
Mm-hmm. Because you're not putting money physically into that influencer or creator's bank account. At that point, it's considered a trade service. But if they are contracting her and they're saying, we're willing to pay you $500 to leave a Google review, that's not FTC compliant. So it gets really dicey with restaurants there.
So, just to clarify, so reviews are not legal to FTC, but posts are legal.
Yes, but it's because at the end of the day for the FTC, the reason is that no matter what, they have to leave a positive review if $500 is going into their bank account. And also too, on Google reviews, you can't disclose that you were paid to leave the Google review. So that's the other thing, is you start to get into disclosures. So even on Savannah's post where they pay her to attend the restaurant, or they don't pay her, but they comp her meal to attend the restaurant, she still puts at the very bottom, hosted by, and then the restaurant's name via a hashtag. Or she'll put hashtag hosted or hashtag gifted. And so the FTC now considers that compliant because she's disclosing that her meal or something she was hosted in exchange for the post. But on a Google review, you can't do that. Yes?
Which one do you think is the best LTK Shopify?
So it depends on,
For a small business.
for a small business, I would say Collective Voice.
Collective voice?
Collective Voice. So Collective Voice isn't as big as Shopify or LTK. Shopify or LTK are like the honchos in the affiliate marketing place. But I would say Collective Voice if you're looking to outsource it to someone else. But I will also say too, you can run affiliate campaigns with Google UTM links without using something like Collective Voice. Grin is another one that you can run affiliate campaigns with. So if you're looking to you don't want to outsource it completely to a platform, I would say using Google UTM or using Grin Marketing as the platform to do it. Brand alignment. So you want to make sure that whoever you're partnering with, there's a clear alignment to your brand and their personal values and how they show up. So one of the things that I'm constantly telling my influencers is brand safety, brand safety, brand safety. I represent influencers in the motherhood space. I'm like, you cannot have your 2-year-old in a frame without an adult. If you're going to be showing your child, putting your child into a car seat, you need to make sure that that car seat is locked and stable before you put the child in it. And so you want to make sure that there's brand alignment, they're brand safe. So if you're an alcohol or a spirits-based business, you want to make sure your influencer is above the age of 21 significantly. But also, too, you want to make sure that, again, you're disclosing properly. So if not, Instagram or TikTok will take it down if there's not a specific disclosure that says hashtag 21, and all these different things. Lastly is budget allocation. So budget is it's a hard thing to define in this industry because you can have a nano creator charging $2,000 for a reel. Why? Because their engagement rate is out of this world. So a lot of times people think, well, if I'm going to do my campaign first, why wouldn't I go for someone who's celebrity level, mega level? No, if your goal is to increase your engagement rate, increase notoriety, increase awareness, you don't want a mega influencer on your campaign. You really want to use a macro influencer. So people who are in that 10K to 60K, that is where everyone is seeing the most ROI on influencer marketing campaigns. Why? They have a community, not an audience. And there is a difference in the influencer industry between a community and an audience. Your mega influencers have an audience because they don't have time to be in their DMs, responding to comments on their posts, They don't have time to build those relationships, build those parasocial relationships. But your micro creators do. So your micro creators are doing the legwork of your community manager on your social team, of responding to the comments, being like, yeah, and engaging with them. And the more you engage in the comment section of a post, the more Instagram's gonna be like, wait, they're still engaging with it. Let me keep it in the feed. Let me keep it in the algorithm. Wait. And so you're getting a lot more ROI in the micro section of this industry because they have the time, they have the resources, and also too, you end up not having to put so much behind the post from a paid standpoint because they did more majority of the work keeping the post active in the algorithm. So, I'm gonna stop it there because I know there's a lot of questions potentially around like, well, how do I do this? How do I build this? And then also I think we are at time, so I'm gonna open it for questions. Yes?